time for Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle.
Welcome on into another edition of Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle. I'm the aforementioned Trey Lyle, and let's get into a very fun conversation. He, of course, is an iconic voice for Fox Sports in their NASCAR coverage. He is a former two-time Daytona 500 champion, former owner in the sport. Michael Waltrip is set to join us into the Inferno. We also have Caleb Barnes join me to talk latest news and notes in all of NASCAR. But let's get to that conversation. Michael Waltrip talking about his brewery. He's got a new beer out. Check that out as well. And as well as his thoughts on the season, plus some thoughts about Ed Jarrett and much more. Let's head to the Inferno with Michael Waltrip.
Now it's time for...
Welcome back to Fox NASCAR from Texas Motor Speedway. I'm standing on the world's biggest TV screen, and I got a giant remote. And my problem is, I still can't find anything I want to see. There's Dallas. I don't watch that anymore. Check out me. Look at those moves. Hey, there's the Stooges. That reminds me of the Hollywood Hotel, huh? Hey, Bradshaw, don't do that. That's not a good look for you. Oh, Daryl, you make the Waltrips look like we can't dance. Fox Sports Live, that's not bad. Is that Buck and Aikman? Golly, come on. There's got to be something on, huh? What's this button do?
Sorry, everything cool?
Wow, look at that. I'm on the big hoss. I love that. Hi, guys. How you doing? Do you know that if, well, that was fun with Daryl. Y'all had a good time.
That was good. Yeah, we did have a nice time. It was a little hot in there, but yeah, we had a good time.
Hey, Ricky, if you
That's why it was hot.
Just say yes.
Okay.
I found that out for you. Hey, can I have this dog?
Oh, yeah, you can. You have
To go into the Inferno with Trey.
Heading into the Inferno now, he, of course, works for Fox Sports. You'll see him do the grid walk during their portion of the broadcast. Also, he happens to run Michael Waltrip Brewing Company. Michael Waltrip joining us. Mikey, thanks so much for doing this. Let's dive right into Michael Waltrip Brewing before we get to talk about NASCAR. Where did sort of this idea of creating your own beer and brewing company kind of come from?
Oh, it's been 7-8 years now. Brian Sperber, he was with Phoenix Raceway out in Arizona, worked there and ran the place. And another buddy of ours, Glenn, we were out golfing one day, and we ordered a couple of glasses of Chardonnay, which was weird. I know we were in wine country, but we said, why we should get a beer. We should make a beer. You know how bright ideas sort of have a silly beginning, and we just, we're really tired of basically normal beers, and we wanted to try something new and different. And it's been a lot of fun. We've had some great growth and been able to have some great partnerships and have made some really tasty beers. We have a couple that are widespread in distribution. You can get them at Food Line and Harris Teeter and Lowe's Foods and all around. And that's the Bristol Sunshine was just a beautiful tangerine ale, and then the Talladega Light, which is a light lager. They're just easy drinking, normal beers that have a little bit more flavor to them than some other beers, and just crafty. I think we use great ingredients, and I really like what we put together as beers, and that led us into the partnership that we're celebrating now with Famous Toastery here in this area of the country.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Part of the growth of Michael Waltrip Brewing has been this new beer, a breakfast-inspired beer. It is with Famous Toastery. How did this kind of unique partnership come together? It's a classic cinnamon roll ale. That does feel unique. Is this like, are you trying to create like a brunch beer as a perfect, if you're watching on our YouTube stream, the perfect product display here? The NASCAR driver, Michael Waltrip, is still alive and well with product placement. But how this kind of unique beer come together? Because it feels like the perfect kind of brunch beer.
Well, it's funny because I mentioned the Bristol Sunshine, and I tease people all the time. That's a tangerine ale, so if you have one at breakfast, it's got a little vitamin C in it. It's not that big of a deal. And I've just always been a fan of Famous Toastery. They have great food, great service, great people, and just to be able to collaborate and have a partnership with such a beautiful, wonderful brand was something that meant the world to me. To be able to join hands and say, we got a great beer, you've got a great restaurants, and we want to do it together. And so the mimosas, these days are pretty popular. So we decided we'd make a beer, maybe that people will have an option if they wanted to have something in the morning. And this classic cinnamon roll ale, when you open it up, there's no doubt it's a cinnamon roll ale. And Toastery has the best cinnamon rolls, and you just smell it right off the bat, and then you get a taste of it, and it's just really drinkable and fun to have. You put it in a, the glass wouldn't look near as good as the can does, but when you pour it into a glass, it's just a great sipping beer that I think a lot of people really will enjoy. And I'm looking forward. I think the end of this month, January 25th, it'll be available at some of the Famous Toasteries and also at selected food lines. So you'll be able to get a cold Michael Waltrip Brewing cinnamon ale, something that honestly about 2 months ago I didn't see coming. But you like to have fun, and you like to go in directions that are new and different, and we were able to do that with this beer.
Obviously, you had this long racing career leads into the ownership side of the actual, you sport with Michael Waltrip Racing. What has this kind of challenge been for you, creating kind of a business from scratch in an area where you mentioned the connections you had at the start, but you truly you didn't, you didn't, it's not like racing where you were there your whole life. How
Yeah.
has this kind of the growth of Michael Waltrip Brewery been for you on the kind of the ownership side?
Well, like you mentioned, there's a lot behind the marketing end of it. You have to have a great product. You have to have great beer. And we make sure Levi Duncan's our brewmaster, and he's just phenomenal at putting beers together that I taste and approve and I enjoy. And I think once you get a beer into someone's hands, they really enjoy it too. But if you've ever gone to the grocery store and decided you needed a six-pack of beer, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different beers on the shelf, and being able to get a beer into someone's hands is the most challenging part of the brewing company. Our partnership here in the Cornelius area with 11 Lakes Brewery has given us a chance to have our beer there. People can go in, buy our beer right here in this area. We're all around North Carolina now, down into Florida. So there are a bunch of places where you can try and buy our beers, but that's the most challenging thing. People thinking, when they have choices in beers, what do they want to spend? What's the cost? What can we deliver our beers for? And is our beer a quality product that they're going to enjoy? And I know we check all those boxes. Still, though, getting people to give it a go is probably the hardest part of the business, and why I'd really enjoy the marketing side of it, trying to come up with new, innovative ways to have someone be able to get the opportunity to enjoy our beers.
Here with Fox Sports is Michael Waltrip. Of course, he also owns and operates the Michael Waltrip Brewing Company. Check out their great beers, michaelwaltripbrewing.com. But moving to the NASCAR side now, I do want to ask you about a cool experience you just got to live in person, which was down at Coronado calling the Truck Series race. What was the kind of weekend like in one of, if not the most unique racing venues that we've kind of ever seen?
Well, I was just really thankful to be there, and I landed in San Diego on Wednesday, and pretty early on Thursday morning, went to the track, got to see some of the truck racers, got to walk through the garage, see how it was all laid out and set up. And then that afternoon, walked the track and was able to walk with some of the different race car drivers that competed on Saturday, Sunday, and in the trucks on Friday. So just learning, seeing everything that was going on. And then Harvick and I, we had 3 hours of TV Friday morning on practice and qualifying. And we really enjoyed getting to know the track. And the thing that meant the most to me is every sailor on the base was happy to see us. Thankful that NASCAR came to town, and we had that same appreciation and thankfulness that we were there, and thankful of the warm welcome that we were given by the sailors. So to be able to be there and be thankful to be there, and then have them appreciate the fact that NASCAR came to town. We went out on the ship and stood on top of that amazing ship there, and the Carl Vincent, and just was in awe of the technology and the people that made all the parts and pieces of that wonderful base work, and the people that serve this country to keep us safe and keep allowing us to do what we love to do. It was beautiful.
Outside of just having the race at Coronado, the big story was the guy you're very familiar with was Corey Heim, ultimately winning the Cup Series race in just so few of starts. Being able to see his talent up close and personal throughout his time in the Truck Series, obviously he won the championship last year. Now going full time in 2020 next year in 2027. What is kind of the ceiling for this kid in terms of his ability?
Well, we said early on Fox, and I'm really thankful that we get to do the Truck Series, whether it's Phil Parsons and I who did it forever, or Kevin joins us now, Joey Logano, some of the other NASCAR Cup guys. I've been there for a long time calling the truck races, and we get to see talent when it shows up, and some guys turn your head. A lot of folks have come through the trucks, and we've said they'll win Cup races, and Corey Heim is certainly way up that list because I think it was might have been his first start, but first or second at Darlington back in 22. He was on the front row late in that race, and like he'd never been there before. That was just crazy that he was able to do that. And that night we said, well, this kid's real and he's going to win races. Probably would have thought it might take a few more cup starts to get it done, but wow, what a performance and what an accomplishment! And it's going to be fun to watch him. I think he's one of those guys that you feel pretty comfortable saying he'll be a Cup champion one day.
Looking at the Cup Series, obviously we have this in-season challenge going on, and now we have we have back-to-back years where the 1 seed has been eliminated in the first round. Denny went out early to Ty Dillon last year. Tyler Reddick with the issues goes out to Alex Bowman this year. What are your thoughts as we're still very much in the infant stages of this kind of in-season challenge in terms of trying to like shake things up throughout the regular season?
Well, my bracket got messed up real quick, and I think maybe everybody's probably did. And I like it. I like trying to see if I can. You're guessing. You're guessing is what you're doing, and you're hopefully your guesses are smarter than the rest of the world's. And it turns out it doesn't look like mine are going to be. But it just gives you another way to another part of the piece of the race to be able to watch and see how it all goes. I think it's really enjoyable, and I think that this weekend we'll see who's able to just perform straight up and maybe move on in the round, because we know that there was a lot of twists and turns that went on in the last 2 races. So see what happens when we go oval track racing.
Do want to ask you a couple about the broadcasting side of things as we're here with Michael Waltrip. The ultimate debate, I feel like in broadcasting is like, should we do more races at the track or at the studio? You guys face this in the Truck Series. I know the CW faces this at the Xfinity Series level. Do you have a preference, or are you just kind of a guy who just follows what he's told and will call the race the same whether he's there in person or in a studio in Charlotte?
Yeah, most of the people that complain about us not being at the track, they don't know what they're talking about. So I don't put any validity in their comments. I know what I do, and I know whether I'm sitting at the racetrack in the booth. And for example, the booth we were in at at the Air Force Base, it was basically what we were in when we're in Charlotte. You couldn't see anything other than the TV screens, and as you're taught as a broadcaster at an early age, when you begin broadcasting, talk about what's on the screen. The folks at home are seeing what's on the screen. It's your job to talk about what's on the screen. If you want to talk about something that's not on the screen, push your little button and tell your producer what you would like to be able to tell them about. And so that's just the job. And I have a lot of contacts in the truck garage that I work closely with when we're not at the racetrack. And so I make sure that whether it's the drivers or crew chiefs or marketing folks, whoever it is, I have constant contact with them prior to the race and sometimes during the race. So I enjoy either way. I like going to the races. I've been going my whole life, and I really love being in Coronado. But I think the job can be done exactly the same, equally at one or the other. It doesn't matter to me.
Mikey, obviously the recent passing of Ned Jarrett, I know he had some influence, at least on the broadcasting side of things for you. What was that kind of influence was like? Because Ned was one of the, first real iconic, driver to TV voices that, at least I can remember being a 29-year-old.
Yeah, he was definitely an influence on all of us because he was such a great racer, and he just became, went in the broadcast booth, and then you thought of him as a broadcaster. He didn't. He was equally as good at both, and so I was really fortunate to come along at a time when I watched my brother use all of his wit and his knowledge to make sure that he took care of his sponsors and gave sponsors a different type of racer, if you will, off the track. A guy that raced against Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt, who were wearing cowboy boots, and he was in penny loafers. And he proved that you could be that way and be different and still be effective. And so I think that I loved watching Ned and being on the track and listening to him call some of my races. The same with Buddy Baker. There were just racers that got on TV, and you're like, this is these guys know what they're talking about. They've lived it, and they do a great job of telling the stories. Benny Parsons is probably one of my guys that molded me the most if it not counting my brother or Richard Petty when I was growing up. Benny was really a good friend to me, and so the racers become broadcasters are near and dear to my heart. And I was really thankful to be able to go to Ned's memorial and listen to the great stories that his family told, and to be able to celebrate his life and appreciate what he did all those years.
Mikey, a couple more questions for you. Appreciate your time. What was kind of this we'll say is a two-parter. How do you feel about Jack Harvey's skills doing the grid walk on the IndyCar side? And two, is there a person that you were able to bring with you this season on the grid walk that kind of stood out amongst the rest?
Well, Jack Harvey is awesome, and some of my favorite memories of the year was being able to be at Phoenix and be there with IndyCar and sharing the stage with those guys. So just getting to learn more about those cars and watch them race, and then see the IndyCar team on Fox and have dinner with them and talk about what we do and just how the grid walk works, and taking Jack along with me on the grid walk and letting him see sort of all that goes into what comes out on TV. That was a lot of fun. And I get no matter where I'm at, whether it's at the NASCAR races or off somewhere playing golf, a lot of people enjoy the 2 minutes of fun we have on Sundays prior to the race. And I'm mostly thankful to the drivers because the fact that um, they give me their time. I have to go to them and say, "Are you going to be here? Because I'm going to be there. I got to go over there, but I'm going to come out." And they're like, "Yeah, we'll be here." And one of the best memories of the year was with Kyle Busch a couple of weeks before his unfortunate passing. We were at Talladega, and Samantha was there, and his children were there. And Samantha was like, "Talladega makes you nervous, you know." And Samantha was telling me about that, and Brexton was there, and I interviewed him a bit and was able to talk to Kyle about what it was like having his family with him all the time and the fun they had off the track. And so just great memories getting to share some time with Kyle. And then at the last race at Dover, um, getting to talk to Logano and his kids. I think that's my favorite thing, just seeing the family side and the personal side of the drivers right before they get ready to hop in the car and go. That's pretty special.
Michael Waltrip Brewing Company. Michael Waltrip joins us. Make sure you check out the collaboration with Famous Toastery to launch a brand new breakfast-inspired beer, the classic cinnamon roll ale. MichaelWaltripBrewing.com for more information. Mikey, appreciate the time today. Appreciate the great answers, and good luck get with the rollout of this beer, and good luck on the truck broadcast the rest of the season, and maybe we can connect later on in the season.
You got it, bud. Thanks for your time. Appreciate all y'all do, and cheers.
Cheers, indeed. If I have a Chick-fil-A cup, so cheers.
Okay, that's fine. I got dessert. You got the main course there.
It works perfectly. Michael Waltrip in the Inferno. Thanks so much to the folks at Michael Waltrip Brewing Company, Jillian, who helped arrange that interview. Make sure you check out the Famous Toastery Classic Cinnamon Roll Ale with Michael Waltrip Brewing Company. Check that out if you have the chance. I think it's in the North Carolina area, as Mikey was talking about. But that was a great conversation with Michael Waltrip. But now let's get to some more great conversations with What's Still Hot.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
What's still hot? Caleb Barnes joins me. Caleb, earlier this week during a media availability, which he's technically the defending race winner of this race at Chicagoland, Alex Bowman talked about how he wanted his contract and his future to be resolved sooner rather than later. Obviously, there's not a lot of clarity on it, but ultimately you would understand why he feels this way. Do you have any expectations on the future of Alex Bowman?
I don't have any expectations. I really think it's kind of more up to Alex's case. I know there's been a lot of people speculating about like whether or not they think Hendrick's preparing to go after some other people, and there's been some rumors and everything. But I truly think that is dependent on like whether or not Alex wants to continue to race, and I think that desire is still there. But I also think that some of that stuff probably has been on his mind a bit. But I mean, from what I saw, it sounds like he still has some plans that he's trying to work toward. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see whenever that comes out. I truly do think, though, that at this point, anyways, I know it hasn't been the best of seasons for Alex, and he hasn't won since 2024, and that's probably adding a lot of pressure as well. But I don't know. We'll see. I think like just some of the other guys, Corey Day is the one that obviously Hendrick has him in the O'Reilly series, but I don't know that he's quite ready for a cup ride yet. So I think if they wanted to, Hendrick would be willing to give him one more year at least to try and full season at full capacity. But again, I said, I think that's just all up to Alex, and we'll see. Hopefully, like he said, hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll hear what his plans are for next year.
Yeah, we will indeed. I think I'm leaning towards him staying in Hendrick Motorsports at least for one more season, and then Hendrick goes big game hunting with Connor Zilich with his contract situation cleared up in 2028, unless a creative buyout can be met for 2027. That is kind of the plan all along, and then we'll see what happens with Corey Day. Obviously, they have him in the pipeline as well. That could easily be the option. I think it's too early for him to go to Cup, so we'll see how it all shakes out there. Speaking of things shaking out, Dodge could return earlier than expected as soon as next season, according to Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic. Dodge is obviously the biggest hurdle is building an engine, and that is what they're working on now. So it was the Charger model in the wind tunnel that has been worked on. So they're starting to work in the wind tunnel. It doesn't say what team it would be joining, but it's pretty simple. You would assume it'd be something with Colleague Racing. And obviously Dodge could join as a new team and have 4 charters, but they would probably want more than just 4 cars out there. Caleb, interesting dynamic here. Do you expect Colleague Racing to be driving Dodge in 2027?
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I saw. I'm trying to remember what Chris Wright was saying the other day on his podcast. I feel like 27 might be kind of ambitious. It would be. I mean, it would be great to see, and I just feel like I'm not super confident that. I mean, we're halfway through, more than halfway through 2026. And unless they've already been working on this kind of behind the scenes and some of that stuff is coming out, I feel like it's still too early to expect Dodge to have a presence next year with the league. I mean, at the easiest, safest for them to do, or the best thing as well, would probably be 2028, just because of the time it would give them to really develop rather than rush into things. I feel like this year, even kind of on the truck side, just haven't really had time to develop that body yet, and the performance just hasn't been there. Which again, maybe that's just part of it too. First year, it takes some time to get acclimated with some of that stuff. So I know people would love to see Dodge in next year. I think it might be best for them to take a little bit of the extra time as they're trying to rush things forward and maybe having extra problems. I think about some of the, I think Black's the team over in F1 that feels like they're having problems every single week because their car just doesn't feel ready for the race compared to everything else. So I would think Dodge would probably need that extra year, but who knows if they're on the grid next year in Daytona, complaining either.
We'll see. I would love to see it. I do think, obviously people regularly speculated about RFK, but Brad Keselowski killed that with saying their deal with Ford has many years left on it. I am fascinated. Obviously, the biggest hurdle, and Chris Bryce mentioned this on Door Plumber Clear, is the engine and getting an engine and building an engine. Can Dodge do that in a year's time? We do not know. And that will be the biggest hurdle. Obviously, it is something to keep an eye on. I would love to see Dodge back in the Cup Series. I think what they've done this year, obviously, going from scratch in the Truck Series, they probably performance-wise have not delivered. But I think what they have done with the race for the seat, the drivers they brought into that car, it's definitely been fun. Well, someone who finally maybe had some fun in a Cup race this week was Connor Zilic, and he is now our focus for the soundbite of the week.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little I'm going to bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track racing.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
Connor, it's been a long road to this day and getting something to go your way. Just what's it like in terms of the processing what today was and ultimately what you liked out of the day?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a solid day all throughout. I felt like we executed, did our job, and just struggled there on that last run.
A lot of long green flag runs today. What was the hardest part about saving tire and putting consistent laps together ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, it was just very, very treacherous. Rear tires were a big thing today, and definitely struggled.
Connor, sorry. Talk me through your day. Good day for you.
Yeah, it was a good day. Seventh is something to build off of for us and the 88 team.
And anything you could have had for Shane, you think if you got there?
The last run there, we really struggled for rear grip. It wasn't good. So, I feel like up until then we were decent, but maybe not quite as good. But that last run we tanked hard.
And then taking this whole weekend as a whole, it's been a pretty good weekend. Something to build on for you, would you say?
Yeah, no, a step in the right direction for sure. Second yesterday and seventh today is nothing to hang my head about.
And looking forward to next week, getting back to some ovals.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I've never been to Chicago, but looking forward to it.
Safe journey home.
7th place finisher Connor Zilic at Sonoma. Felt like he finally got a performance we were expecting. A man who's, unfortunately had a lot of bad luck, but underperformed this season to expectations. Had a lot of expectations being a rookie. Ultimately, do you think this will get him going in the right direction for the rest of the season?
I think it's tough to commit to it. If it was earlier in the season with more of the road courses, like in the past, it's been Coda, then Sonoma has been that second road course. And I think if there were more road courses after this, it would be better for Connor to be able to get some momentum going. I just don't know how confident I am in Trackhouse's oval performance taking very many more steps forward. I know that's also a tricky one because SVG's had some better runs this year. And then even like in race, like at Michigan, I was there and watched Ross Chastain struggle during the first stage. But then as the race went on, that team found some speed and ended up making their way into the top 20, top 15. And I know that's still not great, but I think for where Connor's been at so far this year, running inside the top 20, I feel like would be just a major improvement, confidence builder. So that's what I want to see out of Connor next. I want to see him be able to get inside the top 20 and stay there. He just, it just feels like he's really struggled on the oval so far. And it's not like, I'm not saying he's a road ringer either. He just has that road course experience, but obviously he went on that 10 race win streak or whatever he did last year. That was so incredible. And maybe it wasn't that many races, but I mean, the majority of those were oval wins as well. So I think the mental side, it's great. I just hope that he's able to like back himself down a little bit at some of these oval tracks and really work into it, as opposed to what we saw where he just, some of it might have been his own doing and some of it was getting caught up in other people's messes. I think it can help him mentally, but I'm still not super sold that Connor and Trackhouse will be competing up at the front at any of these ovals the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. I still believe in Connor Zilic. I mean, I picked him to make the chase. Obviously, that's not happening. I still believe in that talent. I mean, he shows it when he goes to the O'Reilly Series, how good he is. I think this might give him some positive momentum just to like water finds its level. I think that will at least what we see, and he'll pull off some good performances. Well, we only got one more thing. Let's wrap it up with the checkered flag.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Caleb Barnes. Final thoughts. Checkered flag's out.
I try to think of something positive to say for final thoughts. I feel like I'm negative most of the time, but I guess the main thing that caught my eye as I was kind of looking at some things is actually the schedule for these next couple weeks and the races. All the races are night races, like up through Indianapolis is the 1 day race in July. Chicagoland starts at 6 ET on a Sunday. Atlanta is 7. Wilkesboro is 7. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about those being Sunday night races. I love night racing, and like I used to love the early spring Saturday night races. Those were so fun. And part of me is like, man, like we're in the summer, it's July. Like, why not go back to a Saturday night race? To especially for the fans who are trying to make it to the track. Like a Sunday night race is a lot harder to go to versus a Sunday day race or a Saturday night race. At the same time, I get it with like the weather. It's super hot. And so you want those to be night races so that your drivers can survive, so that fans are having a better time. But on a Sunday night, like, I don't know, I'd like to see those maybe go back to some more Saturday night races. I think ratings is probably a big drive as well. But I mean, they're still, saw the ratings for Sonoma compared to last year. They're still down on a Sunday afternoon compared to where they were last year. So I don't know. Saturday night. Let's bring back some of these Saturday night showdowns.
I like that idea, Caleb. I just want to say, we're not in last place in the standings. That's all I care about. We're not in last place in the standings for the league. I believe we are tied for second right now. So you know what?
Okay,
we're doing pretty good things. We are trying to get it across the line. So I am glad that we are grinding out. We unfortunately Mike Neff is in first. That's I don't enjoy that part. But other than that, we're tied for second right now. Which technically, and we got through the gears in last place. So which is the next podcast. So Michael, you might be calling a race or whatever. I don't know. We might change the punishment. We still haven't decided, but right now it's calling a race during a live stream. So good luck with that. Anyways, for @CalebBarnes_, I'm Trey Lyle @Trey Lyle VT. Follow us. We'll be back next week with another edition of Bringing the Heat. Enjoy the July 4th holiday. Enjoy the return to Chicagoland. Actually, quickly, we are returning to Chicagoland. Expectations for the race this weekend?
Pretty high expectations. I mean, I think I'm thinking of like Kansas and Darlington, kind of a mix in between what we've seen with the Great Mile and Half racing at Kansas, with the tire wear at Darlington, and I think that's only that's only good news. That's only exciting things. And I just hope if we see good racing, even if I know there's been some talk about there's still tickets available. So if you are in the area, go. Just don't think about it. Just go. But even if maybe ticket sales aren't where they want it to be, if we see good racing, I hope NASCAR is like, well, that's a good enough reason to keep this track on the schedule for a few more years. So we had the classic finish in 2018. I felt like 2019 was still a pretty good race, even with that aero package. And we'll see what this next gen car can do with the track on Sunday. But I feel like, again, my expectations are pretty high up there.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I do think high expectations for a fun race this weekend in Chicago. Get the deep dish pizza. I guess it's not really technically Chicago, but Chicagoland. But
yeah, the greater Chicago
the
area.
The Bears are playing in Illinois. Are going to play like in
Indiana, yeah,
something like that. So, and they're still going to be called the Chicago Bears. So who knows? So for at Caleb Barnes _ you can follow me at Trey Lyle VT. Make sure you check out Michael and Through the Gears on Friday. Signing off on this edition of Bring the Heat. Bye, everybody.